Yeah, what's the next one on the list? We got a long one on the list, so you want to skip ahead to the history one since you're here? This is the one you suggested, right? Let's skip ahead. Let's go ahead, skip ahead. Let's skippity on through. We'll move you to the front of the line, you go. Oh fuck. History's most mischievous French celebrity. Oh my god. Oh yeah, you're good. By Blue Jay. Oh my god, you guys ready for a little history class? Oh.
If we've learned anything from the 1990s masterpiece Home Alone, it's that we can't resist the story of a troublemaking rascal. Now take Kevin and give him tits, a rapier, and an unquenchable thirst for adultery, and you've got the rough foundation of Julie Daubeny, known professionally as La Maupin.
What a fucking start. What a way to start this history lesson.
This 17th century French icon
notes.
lived life to the fullest, screwing enough dudes and dames to challenge Pepe Le Pew's reign as most seductive Frenchman. Her tale of extraordinary and impetuous adventures provides ample evidence, contrary to the popular belief that all Frenchmen are baguette-eating, poodle-walking pussies. So today, we'll explore her colorful life and why she needed to be personally pardoned by the King of France. Twice.
Not twice. Damn. I have a feeling this story is gonna like make me feel like we're not living life anymore. We're just not doing shit. Like we're not even a minute in, and I already feel like she's just gonna blow away our lives. Like she's gonna be out here getting shit done and doing people right. Pardoned twice by the king.
Growing up, Julie's father was in charge of training Louis XIV's
Oh yeah, we all getting locked up.
He also brought home to his daughter. Well, to most dads, the idea of quality bonding time may be playing games, going on a walk, having a picnic. Her dad went and taught her the art of combat instead. Having grown up and trained alongside boys her whole life, it should be no surprise that she knew her way around more than one kind of shaft. She became a master of seduction, but fathers skilled with deadly weapons often used said weapons to chase off potential suitors. Hi, I'm here to pick up Julie. But deep down, Julie knew that all she needed to do to please her father was pick the right man. So she fucked his boss. At just 14 years old, Julie became the mistress of the Count Marniac, the one man her dad couldn't refuse. To mask the
fucking 14? No, girl. Take your fucking killing skills with a sword and get out of there. No, girl. Child. No.
The affair, he arranged for her to marry some tax-collecting beta, but soon, Julie became too much for the Count to handle, so he ended the affair. Naturally, Julie responded by running off with a new lover, a traveling swordsman. Why settle for Cyril Figgis when you could have Inigo Montoya? Traveling the French countryside, Julie made her living by performing as a traveling singer/fencer, while dressed in men's clothing. Having been trained from a young age by a fencing master, she basically had maxed out the one-handed skill tree, in more ways than one.
Oh my fucking god.
Were often in disbelief of her identity. No woman can have this skill. This is clearly a man. Oh yeah, motherfucker? We'll take a peek at these rockin' knockers, you French fuck. But Julie soon became bored with her swashbuckling side piece, and with men in general.
Oh, that took me out. Oh, that hurt.
Went on to seduce a local merchant's daughter. The girl's parents weren't all too thrilled about this. It's safe to say you didn't see too many rainbow flags in early modern France, so her parents turned to the cure-all solution available to 17th century Frenchmen. Religion! Her parents shipped her off to a convent to keep them apart, and to learn her some Jesus. But not even God could smother Julie's sex drive, so she joined the convent herself, and began hooking up with her beloved right under the big man's nose.
I love the fact she's in a fucking nun outfit, still with the sword at her side. Like, I'm just imagining her, like, going, like, full-on decked out with, like, her sword and shit. Just, like, put the nun outfit on top of that already. Like she's like, I'm here for the bitches. I mean, totally into God.
Shortly after her arrival, one of the nuns died. So, naturally, Julie dug up the body, threw it in her lover's room, and burned the place down before the pair ran off in the confusion to freedom.
Oh
You know, as one does. And now,
my
they
fucking
finally
God.
found themselves together at last. Until 3 months later when Julie became bored of the girl and dumped her back at her parents' house. This little stunter, Julie, a death
Wow!
sentence in absentia. So she turned to boy toy
God
numero uno, who
damn!
used his influence to convince King Louis XIV to pardon her. So what will she do with her newly found freedom? How about join the opera? Fuck it. As Julie was making her way to Paris, one man dropped history's
No,
most stellar...
listen, she really be out here. She was before her time because she is the embodiment of YOLO. Like, she was the definition of YOLO before that became a meme, okay?
Pickup line. I've listened to your chirping, but now tell me of your plumage. With what was basically the 17th century equivalent of nice legs, what time do they open, Julie wasn't taken by this master of seduction, and she drew her sword. She dueled the man and his two stewards at the same time and won, driving her sword straight through his shoulder. She actually felt bad about this later on, so she visited her victim in his recovery bed and hooked up with him anyway. So at the end of the day, they both got stabs in. Paris was the heart
Oh
of
my
showbiz in
fucking
France,
God.
and much like its modern-day counterpart Hollywood, Julie shanked and shagged her way to the top. One day, she was attending a
one
royal
does.
ball where she spent her time talking up some eye candy, which didn't roll over well for three of the woman's admirers, so Julie, recognizing their discomfort, apologized for her advances and promptly left the party.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, she tongue-kissed the shit out of her in full view of the royal family. Blasphemy! You disrespect the king and all of France with your heretical display! I challenge you to a duel. Swine! I challenge you to a duel! Actually, I love the gays. Dueling was outlawed at the time, but this clusterfuck entertained Louis XIV so much that he pardoned Julie for the second time in her life. A life that was just getting started.
Oh my fucking God. Listen. Imagine being so entertaining to fucking stab these bitches back to back. Like you get pardoned a second time in your fucking life. Listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But in this day and age, you're gonna have a hard time finding anyone on this fucking level.
By the way, this all happened when she was still a teenager, so next time you think you're hot shit, just remember this girl had won double-digit duels and fucked her way out of a death sentence by the time you bought your first Club Penguin igloo. Anyway, even though she was pardoned, tensions were high, so she had to escape town, running off to Brussels. There, she was a mistress again before returning to Paris and finally reconnecting with her husband. Oh, did you forget? Yeah, she was married throughout all of this. You can probably imagine how well that conversation went down. Apparently pretty well. They lived peacefully together for the rest of their days. So, in conclusion, while Julie Daubeny has earned her permanent entry in the book of history's most badass persons with their tales of duels, seduction, and all sorts of mischief.
No loitering.
Actually, I can't think of a downside. Well, other than being French, so. 7 out of 10 stars.
Oh, damn. Shots always being fired at France. That's fucking hilarious. Oh my God, listen. Yeah. Just built different. Just built different. Oh my God. I'm telling you, if history was taught like this in school, like if we were talking about these topics and taught in this kind of like fun way, I'm telling you, we would have been seeing like an uptick of historians, you know? A lot more people wanting to go into the field of history. Oh God. That fucking took me out, guys. Alright. Next up we got System Shock 2 review by MandaloreGaming. This is from 3 years ago. I have not played the System Shock games. I have seen gameplay, but that's about it. I've always wanted to get into the System Shock games, but again, my video game backlog is backlogging. Alright. Alright. Stop judging me. Stop it.
A worm crawled up my arm and rested on my neck. When he whispered into my ear, I felt a tingle. He told me how to make a weapon that would help.
Yeah, this is... Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you never heard or played this game. Because it's an old classic, I would say. But it's definitely one of those that you had to have like had like the right shit and be paying attention, because I barely remember hearing about this game until years after the first one released. So it's it's just one of those retro classic ones that kind of just passed me by, you know?
Us against our enemies. And here's the thing. It's made of worms. It even fires worms. But it stings like
Not
you
the
wouldn't
worms.
believe.
Not the worms.
System Shock 1 was a fantastic game. A well-designed sci-fi dungeon crawler with plenty of options and freedom. Like Ultima Underworld before it, it could have
Yeah,
been a
also,
sequel.
it wasn't it for like PC only. So, like, that also like shrunk the market, especially back then when people having PCs was not a lot, not compared to today. Like, it was definitely a luxury item then. It's a luxury item now, but back then it was a luxury item. No controller could handle this crazy. You would have to have like one of those like custom setups, like where that they have like those different types of controllers, and you'd basically build your own fucking spaceship at your desk just to handle everything. Alright, Yomi, thanks for hanging out. That fucking emote though. Even that goddamn emote, Yomi. I swear.
That was basically the same game again, just with some new additions and features. Instead, it didn't get a sequel for 5 years, and it resulted in a very different game. For one, it was a joint venture between two companies, Looking Glass and Other Looking Glass. Irrational Games was founded by 3X employees of LGS who are now back working with their old team, just as a partner company rather than employees. The game itself was being developed using the Dark
Yeah,
Engine.
see,
At
I
the same
didn't
time, the Dark
hear
Engine
about
was being made
this
for
game
Thief
series
1.
until the
So
sequel.
you may notice quite a few similarly shaped enemies or the same animations being used back and forth. Thief 1 fed System Shock 2, which in turn fed Thief 2. The entire stealth system is still in the game, you're just short a light gem and some levels that truly support it. It is ironic that System Shock 1 was built off the back of a fantasy game, and now 2 is doing the same. I'm not making any kind of asset counter, but if you see one you can take a shot or something. But it is worth pointing out because it can explain some weirdness. Ever wondered why mutants hold shotguns like that? Well, now you know. Naturally, both engines had some issues on modern hardware, but System Shock 2 has been better taken care of officially. Both the Steam and GOG versions are updated with New Dark. However, you can make your experience much better. So let's get started. Now, no matter what, you should really want to download System Shock 2
Now,
tool.
mine's in
This
my
makes sure you
picture.
have the latest and best community New
Y'all
Dark
see
version of the
that?
game.
Hold on, we gotta go back. We gotta listen. See, this is what advertisements needed to look like. Get your free lion check today.
System Shock 2 tool. This makes sure you have the latest and best community New Dark version of the game. It fixes engine issues, gives you better default controls, and automatically upgrades you to EAX sound. Even if you are the purest solely for Procreation vanilla player, you should have this tool. But it also includes a mod manager. If you saw my Thief videos, you know I'm very particular about this kind of thing. Mods are great, but if it's your first time playing a game, especially a classic like this one, you don't want to mod yourself out of knowing what it's like. I've replayed this game a lot over the years, and these are the ones I now never play without. If it's your first time playing the game, you'll also be safe. This game had a lot of development issues and could have used some more time to polish things up. That's the goal of the community patch. For one, it has an absurd amount of fixes built into it. Misaligned or floating
goddamn.
objects,
Bright
engine
as
issues,
fuck.
they're all gone. They enhanced
That
how
actually
lighting
hurt my
works,
eyeballs.
cleaned up effects. It's kind of insane how much there is, and I can't really properly list them all out. That
We
said,
keep
there
going to
are
like
some
dark
gameplay
gameplay
changes,
and then
but
this
they're ones that make
bright
sense. Let me
fucking
give some
flashbang
examples.
of
In vanilla,
white
hacking security
screen.
disables local turrets and cameras. Except if there are two turrets in a room and you hack one over, they'll both activate and start murdering each other. In the patch, that doesn't happen and they both sit there like you'd expect. Also, cameras don't just stay green and keep swinging around like they're still functioning, they turn off. This adds some extra challenge because it's now easier to miss turned off cameras. So if you hack an area and you're not careful, you'll be in for some fun on the way back. If you skip training in the beginning, you'll no longer have help stations around. Most of the developers weren't fond of them. Some upgrades were buffed to make them more attractive instead of useless. Fire-based attacks can finally get rid of those fucking bees. Surgical beds finally get rid of toxin, dripping acid hurts you. You can click drag the game pig. It doesn't radically change the gameplay or throw things out of balance. It just makes it better. They've been at this for years and they know what they're doing. So when they recommend a
My eyes
graphical
are
mod, which
fucking
itself
taking
recommends
damage,
another
like-
one, you can trust that. I'm extremely wary of
It really
texture
is like
overhauls your
taking a
first
fucking
time through, and when it
flashbang
came
to the
Thief,
face.
I couldn't recommend any of them. So believe me when I say the Shut Up Object Replacer is exceptionally good. It replaces object textures with higher resolution ones that don't break the art style. The same thing goes for the 400 Terrain Replacer. The differences can be subtle at a quick glance, which I guess is ideal for how it should be. If you're still on a really old PC, it's not something you desperately need, but it's nice to have if you take the time for it. There are great graphic mods that cover everything from plants to weapons, but I typically don't use all those and I won't for this video, because eventually things do start looking out of place and enemies especially aren't high resolution enough to keep up. There is one enemy graphical mod, but well, some liberties were taken with the art style and oh Jesus Christ. So that's as far as I go here.
Wait a minute.
Also, the patch mod has the real shotgun mod.
It looks like they tried to like, what is it called? Oh fuck. What's it called? Looks like they tried to yassify, whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about.
On the same page. The original shotgun enemy had the weapon as part of the model, so you'd loot the shotgun off, but it would like still be on the body, and it was just weird to look at. So that game breaking
Oh,
issue
the
is
bees
fixed.
quote? Yeah,
The
I
mod
never
manager
watched the
should look
movie
something like
either.
this.
I've
I'll
only
pin links and
seen
stuff in
the
top
clip
comment
of the
to make this all
meme.
super easy. So with that all done, let's get into the game proper. System Shock 1 is recapped in about 20 seconds. The rogue AI Shodan took over Citadel Station and tried to wipe out humanity. She was stopped by the hacker. You're all caught up, so what's happening this round?
42 years later. Oh my god, this sound is so nostalgic.
February 3rd is the day the magic happens. The Von Braun, the first starship in history capable of traveling at faster than light speed, will undertake her maiden voyage. This incredible journey is the result of teamwork between the UNN Protectorate and the incredible scientific minds at the newly relicensed Tri-Optimum Corporation. Imagine being able to travel to distant star systems in a period of weeks. It's all part of Tri-Op's commitment to the future. The Von Braun is packed with over 1.8 billion flight, scientific, and security systems, nearly all developed by Tri-Optimum and its wholly owned subsidiaries. Providing security for the Von Braun as she plows through the heavens will be the UNN Rickenbacker. At her helm will be no less than Captain William Bedford Diego himself, hero of the Battle of Boston Harbor during the Eastern States Police action. This incredible union of government and corporation is made possible by an intricate series of docking mechanisms that will allow the Rickenbacker to piggyback its way into jump space. Sleek, fast, revolutionary. Who knows what wonders await our crews in the bosom of the cosmos? All we do
Not the
is that
bosom of the
we
cosmos.
mankind.
Oh, there'll be some wonders.
Oh god.
But before you go aboard the Von Braun, you have character creation to do. You start the game on Earth at a UNN training facility. You can explore a bit here. learn the
You aim for
controls,
the
play
bosom
tutorials,
of the
and from here you
cosmos,
choose your
but
branch
you
of
end up in the
military.
hell's
This is where
ass
things get a
cheeks.
little vague and tricky, so let me explain. I don't think there's an agreed upon point exact best character build, but System Shock 2 definitely has lots and lots of wrong character builds. It can also be easy to make a mistake your first time through. Some players go through training and find out their character has no idea how to use a pistol, though that is viable. The repair skill lets you fix items and weapons that are completely broken, but keeping them from breaking needs the maintenance skill. This already seems iffy, but now add on there are some auto repair items floating around. You can guess what I've never put a skill point into in my life. System Shock 2 repair makes Deus Ex swimming look like Fallout speech. Okay, no, that's too psychotic. The point is, even if you go through the manual to find out how all the skills
Microsoft
work, you
adding
won't know how
Clippy
the
back
game
would be a
works
big
until you
win, to
just
be
get
honest.
in and play it.
Honestly,
Deciding to restart and rebuild your character an hour in isn't anything unusual.
It would
This is
actually
also a good
probably
time to
improve
mention
their
how the
cells.
difficulty settings work. Once again, there are some similarities to Thief, but nothing quite
Of course
as in
it-
depth. The enemy
Like, of course, if they added Clippy back, but without like all the add-on bullshit they try to like put on everything nowadays, like the fucking AI shit, like bloatware, just Clippy.
AI isn't affected and their stats don't go up. Instead, your starting
Not
health
old
and
enough
space
to know
magic
Clippy.
pools will go down. When impossible, you're easily one-shot by
Panda,
the first
you
enemy
fetus.
you see. Difficulties also include very slight map changes. Something like a security station to hack into might not be there when things get harder. Enemies will spawn more frequently, but they'll also drop less loot. The violence is escalating and so is the prices of items in the stores. Really out there sci-fi stuff. Despite all of that, I think the biggest change comes from how you can actually develop your character. This is because throughout the game you receive cyber mods, which are basically just your skill points. You can then visit your local Tesla diaper changing station to enhance your abilities. You get the same number of mods per game, but like the store prices, the cost to upgrade also goes up. Buying new skills is usually more expensive than upgrading, and this just makes that harder. The scarcity adds more tension, so it's great if you're experienced. However, this does have some playstyle drawbacks, which I'll talk about more in detail later. If you don't know the game, it's easier to make a sillier character that's harder to recover from. If you're thinking that skill balance sounds important, you're right. So what if I told you the initial branches indicate nothing? You won't know what you'll start off with until you take the plunge. You'll receive 3 sets of 3 different assignments. They tell you what skills you gain and each represents a year in a military career. They even have nice little lore bits of what you did. Each branch is still very geared around creating
Yeah,
a
I just
certain
looked it
class of
up. It
character.
says
So here's the quick rundown on each.
97.
The Marine Corps is self-explanatory. You go to Camp Lejeune to avoid snake pits and be screamed at by men with no foreheads, and for this you get a standard weapon point. Your first choices are mainly around which weapons to use and how to maintain them. You can start the game with a grenade launcher. The Navy also gives you a standard weapon point, but you have options to make a more sciencey or hackerman character. So it can be similar to a Marine build, just with less Crayola chaos. As for the OSA, I don't know what the hell happens in there, but they make you a space wizard. This is the interesting branch to go into. You typically go here to make a space wizard because if not, the other 2 branches are usually a better choice. Now you can play the entire game not knowing what magic is and not being shoved in a locker. I'm still not sure how magic works, much less space magic, because my local bookstore is still being shoplifted. I don't know what the hell is happening there. Anyways, the opposite is also true. You can spec into psyker powers and never have to pick up a gun during the game, because fireballs don't need a conceal permit, neither does the brain sword. There are lots of powers to learn, but there is some trickiness to managing them. It's a very different playthrough.
I can't
with
find the
dueling,
monk.
but not really recommended for a first-time player. It's very different. There are so many layers to character progression and difficulty and how it all ties into the systems. I'll come back to it later, but wow, that's a lot to start off with.
Yeah, for some reason I can't find the official month. Like, it just says it launched with the Microsoft Office 97. So whenever Microsoft Office 97 released. So, but I can't find, like,
Especially when the first game just had the
the
screen
month. It
and
just
then you
says
were
the
in.
year.
I can still appreciate just how much work they put into the character creation segment. A lot of effort was put in to immerse you into the story and the universe. And this is following a game where you could flat out turn off the plot. Speaking of, let's get back to that. In your 4th year of service, you're assigned to the Rickenbacker to escort the Von Braun. With Trapdomum at the helm, it's going as well as you'd expect.
Reinitializing memories.
Don't worry, the bosses will throw you a pizza party. It'll be fine.
Dreams.
Steady yourself, soldier. This is Dr. Janice Polito of the Computer
Oh,
Ops
November
Center.
19th, 1996 for the
You're safe for the time being.
97. Okay, that makes
You're
sense.
recovering
Alright.
from the effects of surgery and will be unable to remember any of the events of the last few weeks. You're on board the starship Von Braun and something's gone very, very wrong. Some kind of force has hijacked this ship.
Someone
That's
spilled
why you
tomato
volunteered to
sauce
be
over
implanted
where
with some experimental
the tomato
cybernetic
sauce.
implants. Rely on your cyber interface. It just might save your life. You must find
The
an elevator and come up
pixels
to deck
are
4 to meet me.
pixelating.
Deck 4. Can you remember that? But keep your eyes open. They're after us both now.
And so it begins. The Von Braun made a stop at Tau City 5 to investigate a mysterious signal. This signal was the work of an alien life form only known as the Many. They're hellbent on assimilating the crew and wreaking havoc for reasons unknown. It's you and Dr. Polito against them all. Looking back at Vanilla for a moment, the graphics are pretty nice looking for 99. Then again, in this case, even Vanilla is still using the new Dark engine. And with the game being patched over the years, there are subtle differences compared to an actual CD copy. Plus, I'll be playing a modded copy anyway, so if you're looking for technical purity or something, I don't know, go to Plymouth. The environments still look pretty good, but the shortcomings definitely come from the character models. And really, this
Oh,
is still from a
Panda.
much later perspective.
You
Fidelity
fetus.
gets out of date, but design is forever. And the enemies have outstanding art direction. Well, except maybe the spiders. You could go a lot more horrifying with an alien spider. But that's okay, because they are awful in different ways. It's quite the roster, and I don't want to spoil all of it. Like Thief before it, the environments are definitely the strongest aspect. The Von Braun is a clean, ideal future Star Trek ship, or at least it was before the many showed up, which gives everything a creepy contrast. This was a high-tech science ship, so it's sterile, but there were still places for people to relax comfortably. So you have this effect where one room could look completely pristine, and the next one has a slasher film massacre in it. There are plenty of sci-fi horror games, including
look
ones
at
I
all
love,
that
have
tomato
really
sauce.
creepy-looking environments. Dirty, dark, industrial. System Shock 2 has those as well, but it goes to an exact opposite so often. Clean, well-lit, and sometimes something is wrong. Sometimes something is very wrong. It's unsettling in a way I don't see games or even movies or TV do that often. Nowhere feels safe. You don't have a sectioned off scary dark place and a secure bright one. An enemy could be wandering over to kill you at any moment. You're kept on your toes constantly, and how uncluttered a room is indicates nothing. Think you're safe? Think again. This pool reminds me of something. Oh god.
Who's ever... What the fuck?
Just excellent attention to detail all around. The
All
game has
the-
an atmosphere quite unlike any other one I've played.
Whoever was fucking dead in the pool, they were literally ass up. Like, their ass was a flotation device. It was trying to get out of that pool.
And that uniqueness has stood the test of time. It could be that everything is being elevated by the excellent audio design. If you're lucky, you'll be hearing the enemies before you
Yeah,
see
Clippy
them.
was iconic, but it eventually got hated and shat on because, you know, corpos, they gotta fuck up everything. Oh yeah. No. No.
These might be the most nightmare-fueled cyborgs.
Yeah.
Might be.
The sounds of this game alone would have like traumatized me as a child. Like not even the gameplay, just the sounds alone would have traumatized me as a child, guaranteed. Why? Because I am Chicone.
You seek your associates, but you cannot find them.
You are so very alone.
The voice acting is that
What
looking
the
glass scale of
fuck?
extremes. Some lines still have that who do we have today in the office to do them effect, but luckily not too often.
I got called up around 0430 to help unload the shuttle coming back from Tau Ceti. Kerenskin was there alone. Jesus, what the hell happened to him? He'd lost most of his hair, and you could see these lumps on the side of his neck. And that smell. I told him he should go see Dr. Watts, but he told me to mind my
Oh
own
damn.
business.
Then you have some
He
of the
really,
most effective,
they really be
scariest
saying
shit
he
on the planet.
stink.
They have so many miracles to share, so much knowledge to give. They told me how to make this implant. They said it would make a better me of me.
There's an official Clippy account? Of course there is. Of course.
Glory to the many. I am a voice in their choir.
Goddamn.
What makes it more horrifying is a lot of the enemies you encounter don't actively want to fight you. They could be a reprogrammed weapon or transformed against their will. Most of the mutants you encounter are desperately trying not to hurt you, and they're losing.
Yeah. Yeah. This is creeping me out now. I'm not even playing it. This would have guaranteed traumatized me as a
It goes
child.
that extra mile to add more horror to them. They're already pretty ugly. The ambient sounds of the ship keep you on edge. The music can be subdued and tense, and then suddenly, something breaks the silence.
Was that Doom? Honestly, that would be so fucking...
A ton of
That'd be
effort
so
was put
fucking
into a
hilarious.
tense
You'd be
horror
at like a creepy part in this game, and then like if someone like modded in Doom, like it just starts like fucking zooming by you, like killing some fucking demons in the most comical way possible, and then just fucks off and never shows up again. That would have been hilarious.
atmosphere. To this day, it shows up on scariest games of all time charts. Some people see those, get hyped up, and go in expecting Silent Hill. Then, when they first properly enter the ship, they hear the music. A lot of people weren't mentally prepared for the rave. Most of the soundtrack is electronic and the most late 90s techno it could be. It's always been a divisive topic. Understandably, some people don't find it fitting to the atmosphere, but it's a sick soundtrack. There are a large amount of people who recommend turning the music off, but as I said before, there is a good variety of tension music, and I can't imagine the mood of some levels without it.
Oh yeah, yeah. That
The techno quiet sound
That's
and the
definitely
tension
creepy with
builds.
the atmosphere.
It's hard to put my feelings into words on this, because yeah, how the music is implemented is very strange at times, but it's really only that way if you're trying to confine it into a horror genre. But viewed as a sci-fi action RPG, it's perfectly fitting. A lot of 90s shooters had big scary monsters to shoot at. While it might have a scare or two, you don't hear many people today call the
Dark
original Doom
Zombie
a horror
Edition.
game. Then you have something with a lot more overt horror elements like Quake, but most people now would just call that a shooter. But Quake can have some amazing tense atmosphere.
Weren't they supposed to be
It could
making
that
like a
those elements
Perfect
were
Dark
so well done in
remake or
System Shock
whatever
2 that it catapulted
that
it
keeps
into a
getting
label.
canceled?
It is still trying to be a sci-fi dungeon crawler. Maybe the tracks would have gone over better if they were spaced out differently, because it is weird to encounter your first monster while hearing a Matrix rave, but it's solidified in my brain to where I couldn't imagine this any other way. I did learn something interesting that could tie into this. After my System Shock 1 video, I was contacted by someone close to Greg LaPiccolo. He was Shock 1's composer and sound guy, and he had some thoughts on why the music was so strange. It sounds weird because it was never designed to be exported this way. It wasn't just the MIDI pack you used, it was also your sound card. Your sound card was supposed to be assembling and altering tracks from individual MIDI components. So it was dynamic music, but based on a lot more than I thought it was. It would change based on location, sure, but also other parameters, such as how alerted the enemy was, how much control Shodan had, how angry Shodan was with the player, and these could be subtle differences. I didn't know how deep these went, and apparently nobody else did either. To quote the email, nobody really noticed or appreciated it, so it wasn't brought back for System Shock 2. I mean,
Damn.
something that intricate, nobody notices, I can get the sentiment. Could developing that make more
Damn.
audio consistent
That would
game?
suck.
Sure, maybe. But our ears failed them. It's revenge techno.
Revenge techno.
The audio can be compressed.
Yeah, I
some
feel
more
like every
pops here
time
and
it's
there, but the
I've
overall
seen
quality
anything
and
about the
variety and
Perfect
layers
Dark
still more than
remake or
hold up.
whatever.
You can turn the music
It's
down
about
if you
how
want,
it's
but it'd be a
being
real shame to play this game without hearing it. At least give it a shot.
Canceled
So you have a game
or
already
it's
drawing you in
back
with great
on
visuals
being
and
made.
sound.
It's like
Now
they can't
stack
make up
some
their
solid
minds.
gameplay on top of that. It controls very smoothly, though it still has that dark engine weirdness
Corpos
where you move
being
faster
corpos.
diagonally. While the interface has improved over System Shock 1, the depth is still there. You've still got your CVS receipt of hotkeys, you can still play minigames on the screen, and additionally they added inventory management, which you did sort of have in the first game when it came to weapons, but overall you could carry an absurd amount of stuff in that one. Now every item takes up grid space, from booze to bullets. How much you can carry at all depends on your character's strength. What you can do is dependent on your character skills. In the previous entry, you can explore around looking for new upgrades. Finding them helped you progress better, but you absolutely didn't need most of them. In 2, there are parts where you need to upgrade yourself to progress through the story. There's a part where you need the hacking skill, or at least a nice pick. There's also the part where you need to research a toxin. They're not huge moments, but they're a striking change from before. This is a full-fledged RPG. You've got wearable equipment like different types of armor.
believe it's
Implants can be installed to
still
increase
being made by
stats or
Rare,
boost different kinds
or
of
whatever's
skills.
left of
There's
Rare.
software to plug in, which is separate from implants. There's the one-time upgrade operating system stations. These can flat out buff you with higher
'Cause I think
damage, more
they-
inventory space.
I think that's one of the studios that like got bought out by Microsoft, right? I think if I'm remembering correctly, like it's one of the ones that got gobbled up by Microsoft.
Or give you more choices, like 2 implant slots. How you play the game and view the game world can be dramatically different based on these choices. This is the game's greatest strength and its weakness. There is a lot of variety, and the community patch tried to make some directions more viable, but you still get the sense there's a certain kind of character this game was made for. Sure, you could create a super hacker character, but you don't really need those points maxed out. At the same time, playing the game without any hacking skill makes me feel naked. There's so much benefit to having some hacking, but not a ton in maxing it out. A lot of the skills scale in this weird kind of way. The research skill lets you study certain items. A lot of them are enemy organs that give you a damage boost against them, which is very good, but no, you can't sell the organs. Okay, but there's
Well,
more to it.
damn.
Besides insides, the many have strange new technology. Weapons, implants, armor. They have some deadly items, especially in the Crystal Shard, which is the most dangerous melee weapon in the game. The other items
I'm still not over Xbox in the beginning when they were just starting out, when they tried to buy Nintendo. Like the entirety of Nintendo. I'm still not over that. Like they really had the audacity. They had some fucking cojones.
require much higher research and a higher skill investment. They also require an exotic weapons skill, which you can't spec into until about halfway through the game. They also have the least amount of available ammo.
It even fires worms.
And they still aren't
Not
nearly
the
as effective and
worms.
versatile as something like standard weapons. The best one you get is near the end of the game, and it still needs to be maintained with a fairly high skill. Compare that to a weapon set that will always be effective throughout the entire game with plenty of ammo. You would think a higher investment might give you something more cool if you suffer during the early game, but not really. I mean, look at how hard research tapers off. You research more than half the items in the game with one level that you need. Research already requires you to backtrack to chemical rooms for materials, so you're going through the ship more doing this. Moving some buffs to higher research levels would make sense. A flat damage bonus across all weapons makes up for them not spending the points specializing it. This is all just one example, but probably the biggest one. The final tier of psi powers have things that would be useful earlier on, but not really at the end game, and just stuff like that. The point is, between this and weird skills and item availability, something has always felt off about the balance. This is more noticeable the higher the difficulty goes because you have less points to spend. When it's easier, you have more leniency. You work towards short-term goals and can reasonably try out a lot of stuff. Whereas when things get harder, your point decisions are so much more crucial. So looking at it through an RPG
just flop
standpoint,
over?
this is messy. It feels like there's supposed to be an intended way to play, but not exactly. I'd guess most players would enjoy this game by first rolling a gun hacker character, then later going back to experiment. The issue is there's initially nothing to indicate the game will be this way. People make a build that sounds fun, they get their ass kicked, and then later find out that you're not supposed to try that until later. While the interface does look like a dialysis machine, System Shock 1 is so
Not a
much more
dialysis
straightforward.
machine.
You explore around, find new tools, and decide which ones to use by experimenting. You don't find out you're getting own zoned because you fucked up your tax returns. There is cryptic, unbalanced bullshit which has rightfully thrown off some newcomers. That said, if you can get over that hump and figure things out, this game is rad as hell. The survival horror aspects are strong, and the Von Braun is a complete death trap. From audio logs you find, it's clear the ship wasn't ready for the journey, but an eternal
I entirely understand, Panda. Like, I loved the OG Xbox and 360. Like, that was my main thing playing when those came out. Like, those were my main consoles. But when Xbox TV started, like, the only reason, I'm gonna be honest, the only reason I got the Xbone TV console was I really wanted and I got the fucking special edition one, the Gears of War one. Like, I had to have that. I had to have that. Like, I had to have it. Had to. And then majority of the games I ended up playing on it were like the older Xbox games, because they concentrated more on like TV bullshit than like their main IPs and having like console exclusive games. It's very depressing. Very depressing. Yeah, I love, like, it makes the sound too when you turn it the console on and off. It has its own special Gears of War sound.
Dumbass fashion, they
great.
went anyway. Maybe the biggest shortcoming was the ship's AI Xerxes. To prevent another Shodan situation, plenty of flaws and backdoors were intentionally built into him. He was so insecure that the crew would hack into him and make him sing Elvis Presley songs, which was harmless until the many came aboard the ship. The turned crew members got Xerxes on their side. He's another unwilling casualty of the many. He announces schedule changes and protocol and other routine stuff. Then he starts praising his new god and saying he won't escape in the same tone.
Security forces have been alerted to your presence, intruder. The glory of the many demands your capture or destruction.
Not only are there mutants against you, but also all the onboard machinery. Your work is cut out for you. Cameras can raise alarms that send out hordes of enemies. You're ambushed in all kinds of unpredictable ways. Right when you think you have a trick figured out, the game might have a new way to twist it. That nowhere is safe feeling is constantly reinforced. Yet it's not horribly punishing in an obvious way. The restoration bays are back and most levels have one to go to. So if you do die, you come back losing only a bit of money. Which doesn't sound too harsh, but you are losing some resources. There might be new enemies on the way back to where you were. And again, you won't always have this. Your money, which is nanites, is essential. You need it for hacking attempts, to modify weapons, and of course to use the replicator stores.
I fucking hate allergies.
Every bullet shot is a bullet spent. Shock 2 is excellent at making
Oh yeah,
you
the
tell you what you
R2D2
have in the back of
Xbox
your brain.
360.
Features like weapon degradation that the team was conflicted on help
that.
serve that purpose. You You scavenge around for weapons, and you might find a better version, but it's more degraded. The use of weapons needs to be spaced out and how they'll fit in your inventory. You could have a Harry Potter duel with a monkey, but you're wasting your brain power. Everything outside of hitting a bad guy with a big stick has a cost. Even then, some enemies explode or have other nasty effects if you kill them in melee.
Like, I have no urge to buy any new consoles right now. Like, at all. Like, I feel like it's more of a chore to buy, future consoles than it is, like, a fun entertainment system. Like, even if I had money to spare, like, I would not be tempted. Because it's like, I got a pretty awesome PC now. I'm good. I'll stick with this. Like, consoles just are not selling themselves to me anymore. They're not really... yeah. It just feels like more like these days you only get a console if you don't have a PC and don't want to fork out like a bunch of money for a good gaming PC, which, you know, understandable. Or you're an influencer of some type or a reviewer of some type, and it's like part of your thing. You have to get whatever new fancy tech is coming out. Yeah, the fucking prices are not helping either. It's like it's either they themselves are gouging the prices and fucking making it impossible, or it's fucking scalpers.
Your trusty wrench and other headgear never degrades, but some dialogue implies it might have at some point in development. If pure melee sounds like the full way to go, I've tried it. Making a psychic punch man is fun eventually, but there's going to be noticeable levels of suffering on that path. The close quarters build won't be a way to escape from being resource starved. It feels amazing when a last second plan comes together, and System Shock 2 is full of opportunity for those. The skill system truly does shine at times, and there can be all kinds of ways to get through the same obstacle. What's a horrible annoyance in one playthrough can become resources in another. Or lunch. When it all comes together, it's pure joy. For being one of the first games with all these systems and the openness, it pulled it off really well. It easily could have been a disaster rather than kind of messy and off balance. Maybe you shouldn't take my word on balance, because every time I replay this game, I always get bamboozled by this jump, and I don't know why. Every time I replay it, I forget, and I usually die there. What is unfortunate is the amount of shakiness the game still has.
Just an endless loop of
enemies can glitch and freak out.
Hitboxes
can be ridiculously huge, but sometimes they're obscured in weird ways. And even with all the hotkeys, the interface can be clunky.
Unit R343 compromised.
The fucking ship's back!
Hey, Jesus Christ, I got him! This brings
the
us
fucking
to the
monkey!
story, which stays in line with the rest of the game. Without spoilers, I'll say it's mostly great, but there are some muddled elements. Especially in comparison to 1, the audio logs have some interesting narratives going on. The son of Edward Diego, the moron who caused the Citadel Station event to happen in the first game, is now the captain of the Rickenbacker. He's legitimately trying to do what's right and not be his father. There's a couple making plans to escape, a story of a civil war aboard the ship, the scientists who study the many, a lot of which become part of the many. A lot of side stories are happening, but most of them are intriguing. You can put together a lot of what happened before the game spells some things out, some of which I think
I just literally put the videos up there, like, when they pop up in the Discord or, from the YouTube comments. Like, I have them in no particular order. They're just up there, so don't forget about them. So, yeah.
The main antagonist doesn't try to replace Shodan. The many also want to fundamentally change humanity, but where Shodan was arrogant, the many are more pitying. They genuinely seem sad and repulsed by the idea of not being part of a hive mind. Not only do they tell you this directly, but other characters wonder if they're right.
But you fear us.
We hear your thoughts, and they rage for your brothers you believe dead.
But they are not.
They sing in our symphony of life. We offer another chance to join us.
Told us of the planet of her birth.
We know how you have harmed this place with your pollution,
your violence,
and your discord. But when we arrive there,
we will cleanse the surface of that place
and merge it with the harmony of the many.
In some ways, the many is not unlike the UNN. There's a joy in working towards a
This is like so
goal,
freaky.
and being able to put aside the things that draw us apart and make us separate. Why do we fear
So,
the
okay,
loss of
I
our
have no idea.
individuality so much?
I don't know what anything is. I don't know what anything is in this game.
The many can accomplish.
It's a great new direction to take. They do get angry at all you destroy of theirs, but they still believe that they're in the right. They're trying to help you and all of mankind, but you just don't get it. How this all ends is very underwhelming, but if you don't want spoilers, go to here.
Alright,
Okay,
if
so
you don't want
Dr.
spoilers.
Polito, while she works with you to stop the many, she's very bossy. Technical-minded, ends justify the means, she gives no shits about the crew. It's odd because you find some of her audio logs around and she sounds much nicer.
But I've been working on that artifact Bayless brought back from Tau City 5. I've done a level 3 analysis on it. I think it's some kind of artificial intelligence. I've managed to pull an audio tag file out of its memory. I'll let you be the judge.
Oh boy, meeting her is gonna explain a lot.
Uh-oh. Look at that tomato sauce.
The Polito form is dead, insect. Are you afraid? What is it you fear?
The end of your trivial existence. When the history of my glory is written,
Your species shall only be a footnote to my magnificence.
Whoa!
I am Shodan.
She really said, look at me.
My analysis of historical data suggests a 97.34% probability that you are aware of my birth on your planet.
This is one hell of a spectacular reveal. The issue is that the game foreshadows this way too hard. Xerxes spells it out 5 minutes in.
Intruder, the many demands to know your intentions. Are you allied with her? Do you not know of her intentions, of her history? She once tried to destroy your species, and now you do her bidding.
Oh, Polito's fucking Shodan. Thank you, Xerxes. Hell, we could go back to the intro, or the box. So the first thing I would do here is change the marketing material. I contacted Dakota Lee about this because he's done some pretty good game key art. I'm only guessing he's not the dog, but here's what we got brainstormed up. On the official cover, our twist character is front and center. System Shock 1 just had a regular cyborg enemy on it. So in that vein, why not one of the many's hybrids? This is more accurate to who you're facing 99% of the game. If you did want to go all out and still have scary rogue AI on the cover, why not Xerxes? Dakota actually...
Yeah, unfortunately, like, the System Shock 2, like, art cover has, like, become iconic with the System Shock, like, series. The IP itself.
Here. Of course, this is for fun, and from a marketing standpoint, putting Shodan on the cover does make sense. But I still would have loved an awesome cover that let them get away with the twist. What's happening is foreshadowed subtly, and I think you could rip out those overt lines without hurting anything. The many outright ask why you're serving the cybernetic metal mother. I mean, Jesus Christ, just come out and say it.
The elderly bitch is clearly a robot.
Clearly a robot. How could it not be
Shodan?
fucking idiot?
I'm not sure it had to be so heavy-handed. You could remove
Fucking
almost all the
idiot.
foreshadowing and it would still be effective. The next reveal is that the many are not aliens. Instead, they're mutant descendants of a garden grove on Citadel Station. In particular, the one the hacker jettisoned, and Shodan had a server node or something there as well, so she also survived. It crashed in a Tau Ceti 5 30 years later, the lifeforms evolved rapidly, and the Von Braun picked up their signal a decade or so later. I've heard some people wonder how the grove got from Saturn to Tau Ceti in only 30 years. Scientifically, I'd guess it went through a who gives a shit wormhole, but you can do further research if that kind of stuff really bothers you. Shodan teams up with the player against the many, and this is where things get iffy for me. It's especially weird because in game circles now, people reference System Shock 2 Shodan, but they treat her like she's System Shock 1 Shodan. Before, she's almost everything fighting you. She's both the dungeon master and the dungeon itself. You're at her mercy, and she knows it and she owns it. She's just as arrogant and egotistical in 2. Her audio mixing and effects are as creepy as ever, and Terry just blows it away with the performance.
You move like an insect. You think like an insect. You are an insect.
transfer my magnificence to the Rickenbacker.
However, when it comes to her role, she's basically reduced to a glorified quest giver.
I don't know why, but like the
You're my
voices,
slave and I'm gonna step on you.
the voices are equally creepy and funny at the same time. Like I don't know how to describe it besides that. Like equally creepy and funny.
But that never happens, and I didn't really feel a threat of that happening. There is one brief moment where you can disobey her and she takes her cyber modules away instead of awarding them. This is a cool moment, and I would have loved if there was more stuff like that. She gets more power and can start affecting the ship systems or your own cybernetics and perception. Instead, she does nothing. You challenge the many by crawling inside of its huge biomass, which is now engulfing the ship. This huge cavernous flesh labyrinth is unlike anything you've played so far. You're completely out of your element, which you didn't have much of to begin with, and it's an overall great send-off. Also, a fun fact about a lot of the original textures here. One of the producers had to go in for some kind of procedure and kept the film. The body of the many is based off someone's actual colon. Speaking of shitty things, the Dark Engine was never good with moving platforms. Some people might say it's teeth grinding and they made that literal. It's really just this one section you see, but it's so awful that it's ingrained in a lot of memories. This single jump may have tainted a lot of perception on the body of the many. That's impressive in its own right, and it's the kind of thing you need to play to really understand. When you're deeper than ever, you need to take down the many's brain. As classic as their games are, Looking Glass never quite got boss fights right. Done and done. Let's see that again in Wizard Vision.
In Wizard Vision?
Underwhelming, but I'll take that over tedium any day. As you leave the body, the many takes its final
You'd really have to try to make that type of boss
dying,
fight
still relates to you more over a machine. After everything, it would still rather see you and humanity live over its metal mother. Shodan then immediately betrays you, as expected. And while games like this require suspension of disbelief, Shodan's plan is bonkers.
Thanks for the follow.
Shodan is left to continue. Her reality will completely assimilate ours. Space will become cyberspace, and Shodan's whims will become reality.
Right. She's somehow using the ship's FTL engine to merge cyberspace and real space to become God. So if this was more substantial or longer, I would be on board. Navigating a Shodan-controlled nightmare world would be a fun final challenge. A corrupted, balls-to-the-walls version of the Von Braun and the Rickenbacker, Shodan could be expanded out to be a real final villain.
Yeah, this would be freaky as fuck to
Instead, you walk through a mostly empty
to actually go through. Like in real life, I mean, like
you can easily get to her within about 3 minutes of her betrayal. To make matters worse, somehow her boss fight is even more underwhelming than the Many Brain. It all feels very tacked on. It was either going to be a whole new act that got shortened down, or they thought killing the Many wasn't enough, so you had to go kill Shodan too. Funnily enough, the community patch put a good amount of attention here, and vanilla looks way, way worse. That all said, you get her.
How could you have done this?
You weren't meant
to be
damn.
You think to destroy me.
She really said, you ain't important. The fuck?
How dare you, insect?
How dare you interrupt my ascendance? You are nothing.
A wretched bag of flesh.
What are you compared?
Listen, let's be real. Her talking shit to the main character like that, it's somebody's kink. And you know it. Somebody on the dev team, it's their kink. You just know it.
To my magnificence.
But it is
not too late. Can you not see the value in our friendship? Imagine the
His fucking face is sending me.
The cybernetic implants I gave
He's like, "Durr." Durr.
If I desired, I could improve you, transform you into
something more efficient. Join me, human.
And we can move.
And we can move together.
Nah.
This is so fucking... I can't.
I
This
know
is so
people who
great.
hate this,
I love
but
it.
this is a high
No,
note for me. What
I
better way to
love
tell
it.
if a wannabe god? Use a tone like she asked if you want
With
some
your
of her
main
fries.
character dirt
Also,
face
she's
and
alive
everything.
because she possessed someone or something, so this was pointless. Anyway, this game is a classic and highly influential. It's also very flawed, but it still holds up. It has this aesthetic and tone and blend of elements that you can't find anywhere else. It paved the way for huge games, little games, and probably more games to come. It is so worth checking out. For the next week or so, it'll be $2 in the pinned link, which is absurdly more than worth it. All the modding stuff will be there too. The story's not over just yet. Like the first game, Night Dive is making an enhanced version of System Shock 2. I have no idea how hard they'll go on polishing or huge balance changes or making multiplayer playable, but I am excited to see what they do with it. Not to mention System Shock 3 is coming, just in time for a Dead Space reboot. I don't know what's happening anymore. I'll see you next time. What do I think of the Games Workshop IP situation? It was actually unusual for them not to be huge dicks about it for this long at once. There is some irony there since their settings started as kit bashes of other properties. In any case, I doubt I'll have more Warhammer videos this year. Unless Total Warhammer 3 comes out, which in that case, oh boy. Would I play Thief 4 for a charity milestone? I have no idea how the hell that would happen, but yeah, sure. Maybe like the Osteoporosis Foundation due to the lack of jumping? It could be fun if it's for a good cause. D&D 3.5 or 5e? Oh god, 3.5 is such a rabbit hole when it comes to magic, and 5 definitely is easier to get people into, but I do think they cut down some skills too hard. Most campaigns I play are homebrew anyways, but most people nowadays seem to spin off 5e rather than 3.5. Favorite and least favorite
Oh
Halo
my god,
games.
Liam.
For campaign 2, for multiplayer 3, I stopped playing 4 early on and have not tried 5.
That fucking sucks,
I am curious
Liam.
about Infinite. If they keep the Banished as the big bad, that'll be the funniest thing on the planet. Okay, till next time.
Oh my god.
Is this why 1 was a more coherent game? The monkeys did this?
The fucking monkeys, I swear.